everyone, Kristina here. Welcome to another Friday Focus video. Today I'm continuing my birthday card series and I'm using this stamp and die set from Simon Says Stamp as well as these cat stamps from Art Impressions. So first I'm going to be stamping the cats on some Neenah Solar White 80-pound cardstock in Memento Tuxedo Black ink, and I'm going to be coloring them with Copics, so I'm just going to turn on music and color. So after I did all the coloring, I cut out these pieces very carefully. The way this stamp set works is that you have the front of the cats looking through a window, and then you open the card and on the other side is the back of the cats. You could also do it the opposite direction where you have the back of the cats on the front of the card. So after I cut the cats out, I just took my Memento Tuxedo Black marker and painted those edges. It just gives it a more finished look. And also for this scene, I wanted to use some balloons. So I'm using the balloon dies from that die set that I showed you at the beginning of the video. And I cut out 2 of each of these colors of cardstock. These are all colors from Simon Says Stamp. And I thought these colors looked really well together and kind of celebration-like and really birthday-ish. So I'm going to be creating a really simple shaker card today, and so I wanted to use a die to cut out the window that's going to be on the shaker, and I chose the Lawn Fawn small stitched rectangle dies. This is actually 2 sets that you see on screen. It's the large and the small. I believe the die I used today specifically is from the small set. So I used some white cardstock that was cut to 4 inches wide by 5 1/4 tall, and I cut that rectangle. And then I used that rectangle to use as a guide to cut out some clear acetate. This is heat resistant acetate so that I can emboss on top. And I want to make sure that I have the right size for that window. So I used that die cut just as a template and held it on top of the acetate while I cut out 2 pieces of acetate. I'm going to need a piece like on the front of the window and then one on the back. It's a way to sandwich the sequins inside the shaker area. So I have 2 pieces of plastic, and I actually ended up cutting my card base twice because I started to make the shaker one way and then realized I wanted to do some more embossing on the acetate. So right now you're seeing the window already adhered to the card front, but you'll see me actually do that later when I redo the card front. So I'm just putting adhesive just on the bottom and side of the cat piece, and it's on the front. And then I took the other piece of acetate and put it down on top. And as you saw, my cats, because of static cling, they sort of just jumped up to the acetate. And thankfully, it was still in the right spot. So I was able to just press that down, and now the cats are adhered to the acetate. So at this point, I realized that I wanted to redo the acetate that was adhered to the card front. So I cut a 3rd piece of acetate and I stamped the strings for the balloons in some Versamark ink and then used some white heat embossing powder from Hero Art. Now this acetate is really staticky, lots of static cling. I don't know if it's because I'm in such a dry climate or what the deal was, but I'm still trying to learn the best way to use this heat-resistant acetate because the samples they show on the packaging have really, really clean embossing, so I'm sure it's possible to do it, but right now I just had so much static going on that I actually ended up spraying the acetate with a little bit of static guard and then wiping it off, and that seemed to help a little bit. But I still had embossing powder everywhere. So it's not a clean embossing, but it got the job done. So the card base is some 110-pound Nina Solar white cardstock. I scored it at 4 1/4 so that I could create a portrait card with the fold on the side. And now I am creating that window in the card. So I put my frame that I cut earlier on top and then put that die in so it was in the right spot. Then used a pencil to put some lines on there to give me a guide for placing the die on the card front once again. So I'm just going to hold that in place with some Post-it tape and then run that through my die cutting machine. And that's going to give me a window in the exact spot where I need it. So I used some Tombow Mono multi-glue to adhere that acetate that I embossed the strings on. I'm putting that directly down onto the card front. What you're looking at right now is the front of the card. So the window, the shaker area is actually going to be adhered on the front of the card. So I'm going to be putting the balloons on top as well. I stamped the Happy Purr-thday, which is kind of like the little pun greeting for the card, in Versamark ink on the blue balloon, and then heat embossed it with white embossing powder. I then took some adhesive, this is Tombow Extreme Adhesive, and adhered that onto the string. And then I took the other 2 balloons, the little heart balloon and the smaller purple balloon, and adhered those. And now I'm going to take the little dot stamp from the stamp set and I'm adding some dots onto these balloons. I decided that they needed a little bit more detail just to make them a little more festive, so I just stamped those on with some Versamark ink. And in order to create the shaker area of the card, I'm using some foam tape from Simon Says Stamp. This is their big Mama Roll foam tape. It's super, super strong adhesive, and you do need to use non-stick scissors to cut it, otherwise it can get pretty messy. So I'm using my Tim Holtz scissors. And then for all the shaker bits, I just used a few different colors of sequins. Some clear, some silver, some blue, and then also some pink and like this darker magenta color. And I kept it pretty loose. I didn't want too many in there. The foam tape, if you want the sequins to move around a lot, I would recommend doubling up on the foam tape. I only did one layer of foam tape and it turned out okay. I liked the results. But if you want to be able to move those sequins a little bit easier, I would recommend doing 2 layers of foam tape. Went around the edges of the foam tape with my pattern tool just to take some of the stick off. And then I pressed down that cat piece, and the cats are now sandwiched inside those 2 plastic pieces, the 2 acetate pieces. And then I took the frame that I cut earlier and put that directly over the top. And that foam is so sticky. I don't know if you saw that, but the foam, it had little dark bits on it. That's my nail polish. It took my nail polish off my nails. That's how strong it is. So be really careful when you're using that adhesive. So like I said, the sequins don't move around too much, but I just kind of really hit it against my work surface until I got the sequins spread out. And then they really don't even move at all after that. So if you want the sequins to move, put 2 layers of foam tape. But if it doesn't matter so much to you and you just want to get them in the same spot and keep them there, go ahead and just use 1 and then the sequins won't move at all. So I adhered the back of the cats onto the inside of the card, and thankfully it was just enough space so that I could fold it. And I used liquid glue, so I was able to really press the cats till they were in the perfect spot. And I really think that looks really cool. Then I took the other balloons that I die cut and adhered those, covering up the adhesive that you could see through the acetate. That's why I cut 2 of each balloon, so that I could cover that up so you can't even tell that I adhered them on the inside. And then I took some pattern paper from the cut and paste collection from Amy Tangerine, and I cut it down so it would fit the inside of the card, and then put adhesive on it so that I could place it on the inside of the card. This is going to give a pattern behind everything when you're looking at it from the front of the card, because otherwise it was just plain white and I wanted to add a little detail. So I'm going to close that so you can see it. I think it adds just a little bit of interest. And then I decided to stamp those polka dots on the balloons. So I did those on the inside of the balloons. And that is the card. This card took me about 2 hours to complete. I hope it wasn't so much kind of all over the place that it was hard to describe exactly what I was doing. But I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm going to do a couple more birthday cards in this series, and then I'll start a new one. But thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys next time. On screen right now are my 3 most recent card videos, so I hope you'll check those out. Just a reminder that all of the supplies, everything I've used, including the heat-resistant acetate and the dies and the stamp sets, are listed down below in the video description or at my blog. You can visit my blog and get directly to that blog post by clicking on theKWernerDesign.com in the top corner of the screen right now. Thanks so much for watching, and I will catch you guys on Monday for a new card video.